Good evening. Welcome to an experience of ultimate horror. Our special guest tonight is a master of chills who will spin you back in time to a tale of murder. He will take you to the catacombs where the dead of centuries lay buried. I give you Montresor, master of terror.
Well, good evening and welcome to another Halloween. Halloween is my favorite time of the year, when the dead walk among the living, when ghouls and zombies like a little taste of human flesh, and when vampires have been known to have a sip of human blood. I myself imbibe now and then. Isn't the redness nice? Tonight I want to tell you a tale that happened over half a century ago, but it's just as fresh in my mind as if it happened tonight. I wrote it all down. It's the cask of Amontillado. Now, a cask is a barrel and Amontillado is a wine. It's about my good friend Fortunato. The 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne as best I could, but when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. You, who so well know the nature of my soul, will not suppose, however, that I gave utterance to a threat. At length I would be avenged. This was a point definitely settled, but the very definiteness with which it was resolved precluded the idea of risk. I must not only punish, but punish with impunity. A wrong is unredressed when retribution overtakes its redresser. It is equally unredressed when the avenger fails to make himself felt as such to him who has done the wrong. It must be understood that neither by word nor deed had I given Fortunato cause to doubt my goodwill. I continued, as was my wont, to smile in his face. And he did not perceive that my smiling now was at the thought of his immolation. He had a weak point, this Fortunato. Although in other regards he was a man to be respected and even feared, he prided himself on his connoisseurship in wine. Few Italians have the virtuoso spirit. For the most part, their enthusiasm is adopted to suit the time and opportunity, to practice imposture upon the British and American millionaires. In painting and in gems, Fortunato, like his countrymen, was a quack. But in the matter of old wines, he was sincere. In this respect, I did not differ from him materially. I was skillful in Italian vintages myself, and bought heavily whenever I could. Well, it was about dusk one evening, during the supreme madness of the carnival season, that I encountered my friend. He accosted me with excessive warmth, for he had been drinking much. The man wore motley. He had on a tight-fitting, pot-striped dress, and his head was surmounted by the conical cap and bells. I was so pleased to see him that I thought I should never have done shaking his hand. I said to him, "My dear Fortunato, you are luckily met. How remarkably well you are looking today. But I have received a pipe of what passes for Amontillado, and I have my doubts." "How," said he, "Amontillado? A pipe? A barrel? A cask? Impossible! And in the middle of the carnival?" "I have my doubts," I replied, "and I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you in the matter. You were not to be found, and, well, I was fearful of losing a bargain." "Amontillado!" "I have my doubts." "Amontillado!" And I must satisfy them. "Amontillado!" "As you are engaged, I'm on my way to see Lucchesi. If anyone has a critical turn, it is he. He will tell me, Lucchesi cannot tell Amontillado from sherry. And yet some fools will have it that his taste is a match for your own." "Come, let us go," he said. "Whither?" I said. "To your vaults?" "My friend, no, I will not impose upon your good nature. I perceive you have an engagement. Lucrezi will take care of the matter. I have no engagement. Come. My friend, no. It is not the engagement, but the severe cold with which I perceive that you are afflicted. The vaults are insufferably damp. They are encrusted with nitre. Let us go, nevertheless. The cold is merely nothing. Amontillado, you have been imposed upon. And as for Lucrezi, he cannot distinguish sherry from Amontillado. Thus speaking, Fortunato possessed himself of my arm, and I put on a black mask, and I drew my cape closely about my person, and I let him hurry me to the palazzo. There were no attendants at home. They had absconded to make merry in honor of the time. I had told them that I should not return until the morning, and had given them explicit orders not to stir from the house. These orders were sufficient, I well knew, to ensure their immediate disappearance, one and all, as soon as my back was turned. I took from their holders two flaming torches, and I gave one to Fortunato. I bowed him through several suites of rooms to the archway that led into the vaults, the catacombs. I passed down a long and winding staircase, telling him to be careful as he followed. We came at length to the foot of the steps and stood together upon the damp ground of the catacombs of the Montresors. The gait of my friend was unsteady, and the bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. The barrel, he said, the Amontillado. Oh, it is further on, said I. But observe the white webwork which gleams from these carven walls. He turned towards me, and I saw that his eyes distilled the essence of intoxication. Nitre? He asked at last. Nitre, I replied. How long have you had that cough? My poor friend found it impossible to reply for many minutes. It is nothing, he said at last. Come, I said with a decision. We will go back. It's chilly here. Your health is precious. You are rich, respected, admired, beloved. You are happy, as one interrupted my friend as he stepped steadily forward. Well, I followed immediately at his heels. He was in the niche, and finding an instant, he had reached the extremity of the niche, and he's found his progress stopped by the solid rock. A moment more, and I had put a chain around him, snapped the padlock tight, and it was but the work of a few seconds. Step back, and he was much too astounded to resist. Withdrawing the key from the padlock, I stepped back from the recess. Pass your hand, I said, over the wall. You cannot help feeling the nitre. Indeed, it is very damp. Once more, let me implore you to return. No? Then I must positively leave you, but I must first render you all the little attentions in my power. The Amontillado, exclaimed my friend. True, I replied, the Amontillado. As I said these words, I busied myself among the pile of bones of which I had spoken before, and throwing them aside, I soon discovered a quantity of building stone and mortar. With these materials, and with the aid of my trowel, I began to wall up the entrance to the niche, behind which Fortunato was attached to the wall. I had scarcely laid the first layer of the bricks when I discovered that the intoxication of Fortunato had worn off a great deal. I heard a low moaning cry, from the depths of the region. Finally, the screams were done. It was now midnight, and my task was drawing to a close. I finished up the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th tier, and I was getting the last brick in place when there came from out the niche a low laugh that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I had difficulty in recognizing the voice of that of the noble Fortunato. He had said, "A very good joke indeed." An excellent jest. We will have many a rich laugh about it at the palazzo.